Hi, this is Laura Holyoke, and I have a PowerPoint recording for you. Going over our syllabus, doing an introduction to organization development, as well as talking a little bit about how I teach organization development. So first, an introduction to myself. The past 3 summers, I'm looking at the upper left-hand corner. The past 3 summers, I've gone fishing with my family. This is me and my dad fishing up in Alaska, fishing for reds, sockeye salmon, and right on the Russian River near the confluence of the Kenai. I've adopted the lower left-hand corner, this saying that we're flawsome. And flawsome is an individual who embraces their flaws and knows they're awesome regardless. In the upper right-hand corner, this is me and several friends of mine running the Muddy, which we were then sponsored on last year's poster. So on the far right in that picture is my friend Samantha, who passed away, who was killed. I don't know, passed away sounds, she was struck by lightning. And in the lower right-hand corner, this is me and my son out camping in Frenchman Coulee, rock climbing and finding some snakes. Anyhow, so that's just a bit about me, and I'll also do an introduction on BB Learn as well. In this PowerPoint, I'm going to talk about what organization development is, about the learning exercises that we'll do in class, about I'm asking you to write one paper, the expectations of that, and how I teach organization development. Classic definition by Beckard is that organization development is an effort that's planned, it's organization-wide, and it's managed from the top. The effort goes towards increasing organization effectiveness and health through some sort of interventions, looking at the processes that happen within an organization, using behavioral science knowledge. So it's a combination of structure pieces as well as human pieces. Another, what is OD? What is it about? O, in this case, organization development. And take note that it's not organizational development, it's organization development. The O is about organizations, which are systems of all kinds. A simple organization can be thought of as our families. So it's units throughout society that are human organizations existing to accomplish some purpose. Again, organizations can be quite large or quite small, and they are made up of systems. The D is about change and improvement, developing, that is growing towards something, getting better at the mission, and improving how work gets done and how people live their lives. Organization development professionals do the following plus a whole lot more. So they work to help individuals within organizations. They work with teams to improve teams, and they work at the organizational level to help the organization do better. So the work of OD is to really be a catalyst in the change process, in looking at effectiveness of people and the organizations in which the people work. So really, this first bullet point is what we are going to be looking at and doing in this class in AOLL 577, is researching and evaluating the systems that we're looking at. And in order to do that, we need to identify what's going on in organizations and have some sort of a way to look at what's going on in different ways. I think you'll understand more when I tell you a little bit about what we're going to do. Then what we may get We will get into this a little bit, but it's identifying approaches, often called interventions, to improve effectiveness of the organization and its people. What we won't be doing, but is also included in organization development, is applying the approaches to improve the effectiveness, the methods of plan change, and then evaluating the ongoing effectiveness. The reader that I have you doing some reading out of talks about this as action research. How I will teach you, and is the same way I learned about organization development, is to look at the organization through different frames or lenses. They're the structural frame, there's a human resource or a trifocal frame, a cultural frame, and a political frame. Bullman and Deal call these frames. They have a different name for cultural. I often refer to them as lenses. So I'm going to come back and talk about those more in depth, each one of them, here in a bit. Coming back to your syllabus, this is your assignments and what's expected of them. So for each lens, what you will do is complete the assigned reading from the Bullman and Deal text, as well as the Change Management and Organization Development reader. I ask that you watch the recorded PowerPoint presentation that I put out that's associated with the lens, and then partake in ensuing discussion, and then take annotated content notes and submit those notes as one of your main assignments. So ensuing discussions, I want these to be real time, please. Pre-discussion to put out there and be inviteful of the date, time, and place that you are meeting with somebody or other people. Can be in public, can be face-to-face. It can be via telephone. And it can be large groups, small groups, what have you. So the discussion really should be about the lens that we're covering at that time, and any content elements that you want to discuss during that for part of your submission for that assignment. How you see this going on around you in the real world. And then post-discussion, this is a real quick one, just one person from your discussion group to list the participants, the date and place of the discussion, and then to upload a brief summary that is 3 to 5 bullet points about the discussion. And if you have questions that result from the discussion, to please email me and I can respond to your group or respond to the entire class. What I've decided to do this semester is something that I have not done. I've usually just had students arrange ensuing discussions and then invite me. Well, I'm arranging ensuing discussions and I'm inviting you. These are not mandatory. They are, if you care to partake in them, that would be awesome. I am holding them the following dates. Each date is listed in the afternoon p.m. I have 2 at 5:30 p.m. and then 3 at 5 p.m. All dates or all times that are listed are in Pacific Daylight Time, to take note of that. I have not been able to get on Zoom in order to set those up, but as soon as I do, I will send those along to you. Your annotated content notes. The idea or the reason behind doing these is so you learn more about each frame or lens, and you do some digging a little bit to teach yourself more about the frame or lens. So in your annotated content notes, I would like for you to include a summary of the frame or lens in your own words, please, and then to choose 4 what you believe are important concepts from the frame or lens, and then for each one of these concepts to identify the foundational authors. Bullman and Deal talk a lot about different concepts in their text, as well as in the reader. You have lots of different content pieces or topics. What I would like for you to do from there is, Bullman and Deal are usually not the original authors or the foundational authors of the concept, is to go out and learn more about this, about each of these 4 concepts, to do some digging maybe in the library online, And so identify the foundational authors and then explain the concept. So find literature beyond the text, readings, or PowerPoint to inform you about the concept. And then to cite your sources, please. Doesn't mean you have to have several sources. One or two works just fine. Then I want you to explain how the concept connects to the frame or lens, how it informs it, and maybe why it fits into that lens or frame. And then please provide an example of an organizational issue, can be a general issue, and explain how the concept informs the particular organizational issue. So one example of a content area that you may choose is the Johari window. So the Johari window was actually made by Joseph Luft and Harry Ingram. You can see that at the very bottom. But it should really be pronounced the Johari window, but we don't pronounce it like that. So the Johari window is a technique to help people better understand their relationship with themselves and with others. So a quick explanation is sometimes they're called quadrants, and in the upper left-hand quadrant is known as the arena. And this is what we know about ourselves and what we share with other people pretty openly about ourselves. Maybe that we're married, something about our job, or our kids, and just things that we are real comfortable doing. In the upper right-hand corner quadrant is the blind spot. So this is when people are very unaware of what's going on, that other people can see it, but that individual does not see what he or she does. It may be a certain action or behavior. It may be a telling characteristic that when you tell somebody about this person that you want to introduce them to, that you say whatever this is about them, unbeknownst to the person that you want to introduce, is that person doesn't know about it. Anyway, that's our blind spot. And then in the lower left-hand corner is the facade, or what's hidden. And these are things that we know about ourselves, but don't share them with others. Lots of us have secrets. Lots of us just may not want to share openly certain pieces about our lives, what we may consider our private lives. And then in the lower right-hand quadrant is the unknown. So this is people's behaviors that motivate, behaviors or motives that were not recognized by anyone participating. So this means that we may have not discovered something about ourselves, and when we do, all of a sudden, I could be a tennis star or something like that. Anyhow, that's just the quick example that I'm using for purposes of this assignment. So an example of an organizational issue would be poor communications, mistrust, and confusion that is rampant in working groups. And then in applying or connecting this, that leaders hold responsibility to promote a culture and expectation for open, honest, positive, helpful, constructive, sensitive communications and the sharing of knowledge throughout their organization. Top performing groups, departments, companies, and organizations always tend to have a culture of open, positive communication, therefore encouraging the positive development of the open area or open self for everyone is a simple yet fundamental aspect of effective leadership. So we encourage people in work teams or groups to get to know one another better and to disclose more about themselves. I'm going to stop here and then start up with a second PowerPoint so I can talk a little bit about how we're going to be using our frames/lenses and to talk about each one as well.